What up? It's your boy Codehova from Combinator. We're pimping Swift, and we're going to be talking about one of the most important classes in the Swift library, which is optional. So let's talk about optionals, all right? Why is it so important? What it do? So an optional, it's a type that represents either a wrapped value or nil. And nil is the absence of value. So basically, just think about it like this. So an optional, it's like a package that your homie from California sent you with a box of goodies, all right? So when you get that box, you could only hope that it has what it has inside it. So that box you get, it's like an optional. That box, it could have the goodies or it could have been confiscated, all right? So that's what it is like in Swift. Let me show you an example. So we've seen optionals before, and we might have just forced the value out. And the problem with forcing a value out is you could only force a value out when you're damn sure that something is inside it. Because if something isn't, if it's a nil value in that optional and you bang it out, your applet is going to crash. So let me just give you a few examples of what we might have seen before. So let's say we have a 40 string, okay? A string with the numbers 40 in it. You know, if we look at this, even though it's the number 40, because we wrapped it around the quotation marks, it is a string. So sometimes we might have to take a string value of a number and convert that into an actual int value, right? So let's say 40 int optional equals, so we're going to change this. We're going to wrap this string around the int converter. So in the value console, we see that it's the number 40. But if we hover over this this value name and we alt click on it, we'll see that this is an int with a question mark at the end. So that's saying that if we were to add this 40 int optional with another integer, we're going to have a problem. So 40 int optional plus 60. All right. So if we run this, it's going to give us an error. It's saying value of type int question mark int optional is not unwrapped. Did you mean to use the bang operator or a question mark? So you can't add an int optional with an int. It has to be first converted or fully cast as an int to do this integer operation. So that's why before we just put in this bang operator, because we are damn sure that this is a number, okay? But let's say, for instance, if this was 40, what would happen? See, we have an error and this is a crash. So you're not going to be able to see it because of my big ass font, but it's saying unexpectedly found nil while unwrapping an optional. So this is why it's very highly recommended not to use bang in code that you write. All right. So let's just keep rocking and let's just change this back to 40 so that this does work. So we do have a successful operation. Another time we're going to deal with optionals is, let's say we had a dictionary, all right? And then this dictionary is going to be the key of Trill, and then the value is going to be Chad Butler, all right? So if we're going to say rest in peace equals dictionary Trill, we're going to call out the value in the dictionary with the keyword key of Trill, we're going to get something that's equal to what we're expecting. But if we hover over this, this is a string optional. So the thing is when you're calling out a value out of a dictionary, you know that this key is in this dictionary because you wrote the code. But there's going to be times when you're going to be pulling things from the internet, pulling values down from the internet, and you could only hope that the keys that you're using are correct. So that's why Swift, it's a safe language. It's only guessing, and it's not super sure that that values exist. So that's why when you pull out these values from a dictionary, they're equal to a string optional, or it could be an int optional, whatever it is. when you're calling out a value with a key, it's going to be an optional. So that's why if we were to print this out saying rest in peace Uncle RIP, if I did this, we're going to see rest in peace Uncle optional Chad Butler, because this RIP value is a string optional. So if we were to want to make this look right, we're going to have something like that. So rest in peace Uncle Chad Butler. So as you see that there's places in code whenever you try to pull out values or you create values, they're going to be optional. So that's what it is. Once again, think about an optional as some kind of value that's in a box. And in that box, it could either have what you want in it, or it could also be nothing. So you're in a situation where you could be in a situation where you know exactly what's up because you created it and you're calling the value out. But there's some times when, let's say, if this was nil, right? What's it saying? Okay, so in this case, it's going to say that when you're trying to do type inference, it needs to have the explicit declaration that this could also be a nil. So as you see, this dictionary, it has the key of trill and the value is nil. And in this block right here, we're seeing that it's printing out the optional nil value. So instead of writing it like this, we could have just explicitly declared that this could be a string with an any optional value. All right. So another thing is let's say we were dealing with var name equals Codehova. Okay. We'll see that if we look at this, it's a string. It doesn't have that question mark. So it's not like we could say, I want to change name into nil. This won't work because it's saying that nil cannot be assigned to the type of string. When we do type inference and we declare a value to be a string, type inference is going to say that this isn't this is a string. It doesn't need to be a string optional. But if we were in a case where we needed to make this something that in the future, like for instance, if we said street name, and this is Codehova, right? But in the future, if it got hot, I needed to throw away that name. Dead anyone calling me Codehova, right? So what would need to happen is you would have to do an explicit declaration saying that this could be a string optional, so that in the future, street name can be made into nil. So here we have, so we could print it out. So print street name at this stage. All right. We see that it's an optional with the value of Codehova inside. But after, let's say it got hot, and we're going to print street name one more time. Just wait. So that's what it is. It's like while all this is running, if you want to declare something as something that could be an optional, you have to explicitly declare it. So it's like if you had a cell phone, my cell number equals 555-666-7777. All right. So in the future, you might not be able to pay your AT&T bill. So when people know about it, it's like my cell number is equal to nil. This isn't going to work this is not going to work. And what you have to do is that you have to say int optional. So once it's int optional, then you could declare something as nil. But I don't know why it's not printed out right now. It's getting on my nerves. Anyways. Yeah, this joint's just bugging out right now. But anyways, so that is the introduction to optionals. You dig? It's your boy Codehova. If you have any questions about optionals, just leave it down in the comments below. All right, peace.